What is up, guys? Speed here with the absolutely broken support tier list. We're going to be looking at position 5 heroes here today. I believe we only have one more tier list actually left after this one. We'll be doing the position 4 next. Then after that, we'll be very much back to hero guides. I guess the rank will probably come soon after that. Yeah, maybe some just more watching community games. We'll have to see how things go. And yeah, let's get into this position 5 tier list. Like the video if you've been enjoying these tier lists, if you want to see more in the future. It's something new that I'm trying out, right? Just kind of like, I've been seeing that people like tier lists overall. So I'm like, okay, I'll post a couple more of these, see how the response is. If it's good, I'll keep doing them in the future. If it's not, you know, it can always be cut out. But now let's get into the position 5 tier list. Oh, and yeah, if you want to see them continue, make sure you smash the like button absolutely immediately. And comment down below why you think Speed is the best creator of all time. I mean, you have to do that. And signing up to the gameleap.com website where I'm posting videos every single day, literally every single day, trying to tell you guys how to get good at Dota. Like, you know, I played a game, I've played it for a while, I reached 7.5 KMMR, and I'm here to tell you exactly how you can get to that rank as well. Well, over there, and in the link down below. Now let's get into the broken list. So we only have 2 heroes actually in the broken position 5 list, which are Midas Ogre and Crystal Maiden. Now I think Midas Ogre is just in a good spot right now, especially if you're between 0 to 4 KMMR. And generally, in my opinion, this is the average bracket range where I think games go particularly long, and learning how to split up the map is the most important skill you can learn, right? Like, you have to, and you really need to be able to go from mid, away from a fight, to push in bottom, and then call a smoke, right? You have to be able to split up the map, force a rotation, get some items, get some levels, then get your team to group up. If you can like kind of rinse repeat that strategy, you're going to do so much better than everyone else in your bracket. And I think Midas Ogre is really, really good with that. And what you can do, if you're a real psycho, is you go Midas, you max Ignite in your Q. I know this is crazy. I generally recommend having at least 1 point in Bloodlust, but honestly, people don't farm enough anyway, so having Bloodlust isn't nearly as good. This ability is broken, but remember, the goal here is to scale. So what you do is you take your Q and your W, and then by your level 10 talent, you take the Ignite talent, and you sort of just shove in waves and get really, really farmed, and in team fights, you spray out nukes. The items you want to go are very simple. Don't buy a lot of them. You want to buy Tranquils, Clarities, a stick, Raindrops maybe, and that's about it. After that, you're rushing the Midas. Because you can multicast the Midas, it's going to let you scale, it's going to let you come online, and Ogre Magi is still a 53% win rate hero, and for good reason. The hero's kit naturally works in this bracket, and I think you can amplify your ability to carry, even from the support role, with this build. Next up is Crystal Maiden. This is a very hit or miss hero. I always felt like this hero is getting better and better. I think the changes to the game, the slower pace, and the fact that there's more farming heroes, and the fact that it's harder to take towers enables CM, right? She's very good at defending towers too. So yeah, I think CM's in a good spot. You do sort of want to also go down this Glimmer Kit route, and I think the new Glimmer Cape is quite good for CM. Having a cheaper cloak allows for much better build-up. You can even buy the Shadow Amulet earlier on just to get off better ultis, right? You can still pop the Shadow Amulet in ulti. Sort of like a worse version of Glimmer Cape, but it's still freaking good. And yeah, I wouldn't say too much other than that has really been buffed about Crystal Maiden. One other thing that comes to mind is that Sage's masks are, I'm not going to say much worse, but much less common. So having extra mana regen to fulfill that role is pretty good. You know, it makes a lot of sense. So go Tranquils, Stick, Windlace, Clarities, and then Glimmer Cape into BKB, and I think you're set for the game. Now let's get into the A tier list here. Let's start off with Zeus. And yeah, I'm actually a big fan of Zeus, even in the 5 role. And I will say that, you know, when I say this, I generally recommend this for the lower tiers. Can it work in a 4K, 5K, 6K, 7K average MMR game? Absolutely. You just gotta make sure that your heroes can play around it. What do I mean by that? You need to make sure that you have heroes that either want to fight so that you can take farm. I think it's very important for Zeus to be able to get a lot of levels, right? You want a mid laner that can rotate so that you can take mid. You know, the main thing that I see about Zeus, like the biggest benefit of him as a support, is his ability to defend towers and stay far away, right? Defend them safely. And so, if you can do that, and you have a mid laner who's running around and fighting, you're set, right? You're gonna get a lot of farm. Well, there's one more thing I think you generally want if you want to be set, and that is a sustainable safe laner. I think Zeus in lane isn't too good. You know, the bolt's not bad, but I believe the mana was nerfed recently, so that's in a worse spot. And therefore, it's important to note, like, hey, do I or do I not have a safe laner who can sustain himself against, you know, said matchup? So you might be saying, well, Speed, I pick first. How can I determine that? Well, you might just want to give your safe laner a heads up. Like, hey, man, if it's solo queue, they'll probably just tilt, but if you're playing with your friends, you can tell them, like, hey, you know, to pick a hero that can sustain a little bit easier, right? That maybe is more self-proficient. Next up is Warlock. I'm not going to say too much about this hero. I don't necessarily think you have to go Midas. I think you can just go to Glimmer build that's been popular right now with Wand and such. And I'm going to say the same thing about Zeus, and a lot of the heroes in A tier are all good at what I'm about to talk about, which is defending towers. They're all pretty good at this, especially compared to the B tier heroes. Not that none of the B tier heroes can defend towers, but I think these are pretty good at them, which is Zeus, Warlock, Jakiro, Treant, Io, and Chen. This is all the A tier, right? So with Warlock, the Fatal Bonds is really good at defending towers, right? You kind of use it on the creep wave, you put it on the enemy heroes, and they're going to be dissuaded from pushing. Combine multi-shot of a tower with the Fatal Bonds, you have a pretty free one fight. It's a crazy combo. And the last thing I'd like to mention is I think the favoring of slightly more greedy heroes in the safe lane is good for Warlock. You know, he helps them out in lane, helps them sustain. Next up is Jakiro. The hero's good in lane, and it defends towers. Next up is Treant. Buy a Meteor Hammer. Well, first off, go Tranquils, stick a lot of Clarities, a Windlace, into Meteor Hammer, and then Split Push. Split farm. You don't have to really do too much at the towers. You can Meteor Hammer them here and there. But yeah, I think being able to get to that early Meteor Hammer timing, yes, even as a position 5, get to it around 17 or 18 minutes. I actually made a video on the website talking about how to play this build. So go check that out if you're a support player. It's very important that you go sign up right now. There's also a discount link down below. Wow, very cool. You guys must sign up. It's very important. But yeah, go to this build, check out that, and now let's talk about Io. Io in pubs is generally trash because it requires a lot of synergy, not necessarily in the lane. I think Io in the lane, it doesn't require that much synergy. You just have to heal your boy. That's about it. Heal your boy, auto attack with overcharge, kind of it. But like mid game, you know, with farming patterns and positioning and relocate, that's where things begin to get a bit like woo woo woo, you know, like yeah, things get confusing. So you kind of got to either play party queue or you got to become a master of Io. Otherwise, this hero can fall a little bit flat. But if you get good at Io, similar to the next hero on the list, which is Chen, you're going to be able to pop off. So Io and Chen, got to master them. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time. Now let's get into the B tier. First off, we have Undying Yang, a 52% win rate hero right now. And a couple reasons that come to mind why I think he's good. Well, we'll talk about his changes as well very, very briefly. But a couple of things that I would note, I think he's very good at protecting greedy safe laners, right? Which I've been noting a couple times now. He's very, very good at that. I wouldn't say he's necessarily great at defending towers. He's great at fighting around towers, right? Because if an enemy team dives to your tower when you're playing Undying, especially if you're the one defending it, like you're just dragging creep wave, you throw up a tombstone and it's going to be very difficult for them to fight, right? Diving a tower into things like tombstone and nether wards and shrapnel, you know, these are always the worst fights in Dota. It's very commonly known. You just gotta, you know, play around that. You gotta play around that. So if your team needs to farm, what Undying does is in the early game, early laning stage, wins the lane, mid game, defends the towers, boom, you're off to a net worth lead. And now let's talk about his little buffs. And what the buffs that he got recently were that Flesh Golem debuff no longer deals damage per second nor increases damage zombies do. So I guess you could call that a nerf because it got rid of that. But what we did see is a pretty interesting change for Undying, which is Flesh Golem debuff now also increases all the damage the target takes by 25% at level 1 and 35% at max, which is crazy, a 25% damage amp. Not spell amp, damage amp. So if you get on top of someone with your Flesh Golem, I mean, not only are they going to be slowed, right, they're just going to be taking so much extra damage. So tank up, buy a wand, buy raindrops, buy a cloak, buy bracers, get tanky, buy tranquils, and, you know, just stay alive in the fights. Right? Stay alive, max your soul rip. I really recommend that build. Stay alive. Next up, we have Venge. I think this hero's just in a good spot. It's just well-rounded. Same thing for Bane. He's just a lane dominator that is also well-rounded. He's also one of the best heroes for actually letting your team push a tower. Now that outposts are much harder to take, I think Bane is even more valuable. It's very hard for your team to set up and like wrap on split pushers, right guys? You know, without outposts or being able to TP to outpost aggressively, it can be very hard to deal with certain areas of split pushing. However, Bane, it's not too hard because if your team's pushing top, you send the Bane bottom, he sleeps, boom, bada bing, bada boom, kill, right? So outpost, Bane can play around that. Next up, we have Lich. I don't think Lich is particularly incredible for like high MMR games necessarily, but the ease of use on this hero and the fact that he's just a good laner with a strong mid-game ultimate, which is always what Lich has been with good tower defense, is a solid combo. Next up we have Wyvern. I think Orchid Wyvern is still good. And Nature's Prophet. While he is one of the lowest win rate heroes in Dota, I wanted to put him in B tier to give him a bit of respect, saying that, hey, if you play this hero properly, and you get good at farming with him, and you max your treants, and you focus on getting your team neutral items, hitting your timings, and fighting around your ultimate, as well as splitting up the map, you're going to be able to get so much farm, and create space, and have a good laning stage. So really, if you can get good at him, well, what I recommend you do to get good at him is go watch some pros play it. Otherwise, you're going to struggle. Next up, let's get into the C tier. We have a Snapfire to start. Honestly, I expected Snapfire to be better. It was actually when I was reading the patch, I made a video on the website talking about the new way to play Snapfire, which is buying a Blightstone and taking points in your E with the tri-lane, and I still feel like people are not adapting to it properly. I really do believe that Snapfire in the tri-lane with a +1 or 2 stuns is brutally strong, if not broken, but I think her mid-game and ability to execute on her nerf spells that have all been nerfed so hard is difficult, besides the Q that recently got buffed. We got Dazzle at C. I wanted to put this hero higher because if it's generally high win rate in low MMR pubs, it actually does. Like if you're 0 through 2k MMR, Dazzle does quite well on average, and I think that's just because like you're a bit harder to kill than other heroes, right? And generally staying alive is what wins at lower pubs, right? Just the ability to stay alive, not through good positioning, but just by natural tankiness, because one of the key aspects to being a good support player is staying alive in team fights, right? Being able to kite out the fights. Sometimes you gotta throw your body in, right? Bait out a fight, get vision, get information. That can be a thing, but most of the time it's not. I would say most of the time it's not. AA is kind of in a weird spot. Situationally, a BAT hero, but usually not. Witch Doctor, same thing, I think against strength heroes, can be up there. Disruptor, who plays Disruptor? This hero's just in a weird spot. It really, really is. It's like, it's so hard to play this hero as well. Next up is Silencer. Honestly, I think Silencer very, very soon will become a good hero. I just feel like he's been trash for a while now, ever since TI8 when he was like the first ban of TI8, you know, the OG LGD series. Yeah, ever since then he's been kind of just too many nerfs. Next up we have Coddle. Honestly, I think the hero just got nerfed so much to the point where he's not really good in lane. He's just meh in lane. He can make a lot of stacks, which is good. If you're gonna play Coddle, make a lot of stacks, and he has good ultimate. But also the chakra magic changes doesn't really help him out too much. And finally for the C tier we have Oracle. Just very hard to play, so he naturally has a low win rate. I don't think the hero is necessarily has to be low C tier. I think he can be like a low B tier hero, but it's just so difficult to play. So unless you have 50 games of Oracle, it's definitely a C tier hero right now. It's you know, it's not like it's good enough to justify putting it in high B or A. And now finally we have the dog shit tier. First off, we have Pudge. Are you kidding me? Pudge again? There's no way, guys. I'm honestly just as surprised as you. I can't believe Pudge just once again made it to the dog tier. That's crazy. Oh, and Lion? Lion? What? Lion? I feel bad for these heroes. When will they be good, guys? That's the question. When is Lion and Pudge going to be good? Honestly, they're not even, like, I'll be real. They're not, like, unplayable. No hero is unplayable. But, yeah, they're just, I don't know. There's something about Lion that's just clunky. This hero's just clunky. A Finger of Death is just way too long of a cooldown. They need to make it, like, 120 at level 1. Then I think the hero's fine. It's just 160 cooldown is just, I don't know, man. There's something so dissuading about this 160 cooldown. It just feels terrible. Next up is Grimstroke. In pro games, I don't think this hero is dog tier. Pubs though, which is what this, you know, most of you guys, this is what it applies to. It's hard to execute in lane, hard to execute in mid game, doesn't have a proper stun, so it's hard to execute in ganks. This hero is just hard to play. It requires very good positioning, a good understanding of when you need to slow, when you need to silence, when you need to stun. It's very difficult to play, very hard to synergize around, and so yeah, it's tough. And finally, we unfortunately have Shadow Demon, one of my favorite supports in Dota, a hero that, if you spam, can be brutally high impact. If you get good at positioning and spamming his E and landing it, man, this hero can be dirty. Problem is, it's not a good laner. It's mediocre, if anything, in lane. Mediocre to bad in lane. It's hard to gank with, once again. I think hard, reliable stuns, which you'll see much more of in like the A and B tier. Not necessarily too much in A, actually. There's not that many reliable, if any, broken stuns in A. But you can look at the broken heroes, right? CM Midas Ogre, very easy to play, very reliable, reliable stuns, reliable way to farm, scale well. Not that Shadow Demon doesn't scale well. In fact, Shadow Demon scales incredibly well. His talents are insane. And he farms well too, but it's just a hard to execute hero. So if you're going to play Shadow Demon, make sure you give him a lot of ghosts. It's a hero that you gotta get comfortable with. You gotta watch a pro play it. You gotta see how they use Shadow Demon, how much they farm, how much they stack, how much clarities they pop. If you don't do these things, you'll run out of mana, you'll have a bad laning stage, you won't amplify your farm for you and your team, and you're gonna cast your spells wrong mid-game, and it's very easy to do that as Shadow Demon. I mean, Disruption is easily one of the hardest abilities to use. You know, putting a teammate or an opponent under for 2.5 seconds can ruin a gank, it can kill someone, so it's hard. But thank you guys for watching the Position 5 tier list. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below should be the broken Position 4 heroes of this patch. Tell me what you guys think. Maybe I'll reconsider my thoughts and adjust my tier list for that video. But thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and peace. Hey guys, do you also want more content from me and other gameleap creators that are going to help you get to the next rank easily? Well, 50% off right now is the deal we can offer. Alright, 50% off. As long as you click the link down below, you're going to get that part of our summer sale. Right, just go over there. You're going to see the 50% off. Sign up. It's an incredible deal. I've been putting in more work than ever on this website. I think the content is going to help you guys get to the next level faster than ever. And yeah, I hope to see you there. If you're unsure about it, hey, message me on Discord, say, Speed, why should I sign up for the gameleap website? I swear I know a lot of you guys just troll me about this, but nah, ask me, I'll talk to you. Go sign up for the website. It's a blast, and we're going to have a good time this summer.